Welcome everybody to Forza Horizon 5, and today we take a look at the 1993 Schuppan 962CR. Now this was built between 1992 and 1994. 6 were produced by Australian race car driver Vern Schuppan, and it's based on the Le Mans winning Porsche 962 race car, which Schuppan himself raced. And it's got a carbon fibre monocoque chassis, a rear-wheel drive mid-engine layout with a 5-speed manual transmission driving the car, so along with the engine. So there's very little in terms of weight on this car, as you can see. It only weighs 2,315 pounds, so it's properly stripped out racer, which is obviously more for the road. It's only available in this colour, and more would have been produced, but unfortunately the car company that Schuppan was using folded due to economic recession and the fact that these cars cost a hell of a lot. They were selling for more than $1.5 million at least, so that's ultimately why this car company folded, which is a bit of a shame because this is actually a really, really good car. Probably not the kind of car that you would want to be driving out on the open road, but as far as a track car goes, it's absolutely phenomenal in a lot of ways, and part of that is down to the engine, which, if it'll let me get in there we go. So it's a 3.3 litre twin turbocharged flat 6 engine producing 600 horsepower and 479 pounds-feet of torque, which is quite a lot for a car that only weighs 2,315 pounds, and it's quite in line with the likes of the XJ220 from Jaguar and the McLaren F1, which were around the same time as this. But this is obviously faster than the XJ220 because it has more power and less in the way of weight, but not quite as quick as the McLaren F1 because it does have less power. But still a phenomenal looking vehicle as well. Not a pretty vehicle by any means, but it's certainly something that stands out from the crowd, especially thanks to that really rather large rear wing, which fuses really rather nicely to the rest of the bodywork. And I pretty much said when we unlocked this on the Hot Wheels expansion, which is where you get this vehicle, that it looked like a Porsche vehicle, and that's because it in essence really rather is. And that was just coming from first impressions. So nonetheless, let's get out onto the open road and see what this car can do. Right, so here we are at the drag strip. So as per usual, we'll take this car down the drag strip and see what it can do before we hit the speed camera, and then we'll get it around the track. So let's see what this car can do. So 7,500 RPM rev limit, and you can genuinely feel those turbochargers working overtime. Really just shunt the car forward. So nearly 160 miles an hour there, which is pretty damn good for a car that is coming up to 30 years old. So so let's get to the track, see what this car sounds like, what it drives like, and just how quick it actually is in terms of raw numbers. So but instantaneously with this car you can feel that it doesn't weigh very much. It's got lightning fast reactions due to that lack of weight, and although there is a little bit of understeer maybe at times, it's on the whole a car that sticks like glue to the road, especially when you're going a reasonable amount of speed. So let's quickly look at the stats as well on this car. So rivals, so we're top end of S1 class, and 8.2 speed, 8.6 accelerate handling, and 7.2 braking are all really rather stellar. The launch is a little bit on the downside purely because of the gearbox, which has quite long gear ratios because it is only a 5-speed at the end of the day, and it's also got really rather wide tyres as well, which are difficult to get off the line. And acceleration wise, that is again down to the gearbox and the fact that it's really rather reliant on those turbochargers to give it the power it's got. But once it's underway, it's a properly quick car. So like I said, let's listen to the car itself first, and then we'll talk about it some more. So let's give it a listen and then see what it's like to drive. So yeah, it sounds pretty good to be honest, which I wasn't expecting, given, you know, when I saw the cubic capacity of the engine and that I knew that it was only a flat 6, I figured with those two turbochargers they're going to overwhelm the engine noise, but to be honest, for the most part, they don't really do that. Yeah, and in terms of handling, it's pretty good as well, although when you hit the limit, it's kind of a bit of a monster really, because those big fat wide tyres and those aerodynamics that are pushing down on the car work overtime when you need them, but once they hit their limit, you really don't have that much in the way of handling really on the rear end. So yeah, it's a bit of a tricky car at times, and there definitely is some understeer which you have to deal with, but on the whole it's a pretty damn good car to drive. And yeah, acceleration wise is also pretty good. 0 to 60 is dealt with in 3.483 seconds, 0 to 100 is dealt with in 6.7 82 seconds, and it will go to a top speed of 223 miles an hour, which is faster than the Jaguar XJ220, although obviously slower than the McLaren F1. The only real big negative with this car is the transmission. It's just not good enough to deal with either the power or the turbochargers, because it doesn't really seem to make the most of its, you know, power band. It does seem to struggle to keep the horsepower and the torque at high levels really, because it's got really rather long gears at times, and unless you're in the right gear at the right revs, those turbochargers really aren't providing the kind of power that you need. So yeah, the gearbox is the only really weak link in this car, but then again it is a nearly 30-year-old car that only had 6 vehicles produced at the end of the day, so yeah, I doubt development was quite as stringent as it would have been for, say, the McLaren F1. But regardless, a fantastic vehicle. We've never had this car on a Forza game before, and it's all thanks to the Hot Wheels expansion, which you can get now, as it has been released for a while now. And yeah, it's well worth getting, because you get vehicles like this, you get Hot Wheels vehicles, and you get plenty of fun out of racing and just generally driving around in the Hot Wheels world itself. So yeah, highly recommend getting the expansion itself if you haven't already, especially because yeah, you get rarer cars like this. Nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.